Okay, so let's talk about how to do your typographical logo, which is a little more complex than just your simple word illustration. So for this one, you can add color if you want, but you can draw simple illustrations using the shape and the line tools. So obviously you're going to choose a different word to do, but for demonstration purposes here, I'm going to just illustrate with this word float. So maybe I could have some clouds or something with this. So to draw simple illustrations here, you can use the pen tool, you can use the line tool, any of the shape tools, the pencil tool. So I'm just going to lock this layer here and add a new layer to draw on. So, and remember, you can even like call this like drawings or clouds if I'm doing clouds. Okay, so very simply, I could start to draw. And if this is distracting, let's just turn these off for now and I can draw here. You can draw over off the page or the artboard. You can draw around the artboard if it's easier. Sometimes I'll do that and then just drag things over when I'm done. So with this, I have a white fill and a white outline on right now. So you may want to just switch it back to the standard black outline, white fill. But remember, with the pen tool, it's sometimes easier just to turn off the fill while you're drawing. So I could start and just start to draw some clouds. Remember, it's going to want to keep curving. So if you want to change direction, you have to not click and pull or just, let's do one more. If I'm clicking and pulling, if I want to change direction, I have to go back to the center point and then it'll let me. So you could do it this way, draw with your pen tool, go back to where you started to close that shape. That's a pretty bad looking cloud, that's okay. I could then take it and I can, look at, I don't have any fill and stroke options up here anymore. If I go to my arrow tool and click off of it and click back on it, those appear up here again. But you can always change it here as well. You also have this swatches area here, which is really awesome because you can just pick a color. So for this, you could add color. I like to turn my outline off after I'm done drawing because it looks kind of tacky without it. But look at, I could add color like this. You could even add, like, I don't know, little reflections or things like that. I'm gonna go here, close that shape, and then maybe I'll add a lighter blue. So the cool thing is with these swatches, if you double click on the swatch here, you can choose any variation of those colors. So look at, I added a little bit of dimension. I can move that around. I feel like it matches up here a bit more by doing that. So simple ways to draw. Remember with your pen tool, if things are a little wonky, underneath the shaper tool, there's a smoother tool. You have to have this selected in order for it to work. It's got to be highlighted with the direct selection tool. Then I can go and like just kind of smooth this. It just changes where your anchor points lie. And you know, it can just smooth it out. So that's an easy way to do that. You can also go with your direct selection tool and click on these areas and like drag them out, change the handles, smooth them out a bit. Another way to just draw really simply with the in Illustrators with the shape tools. So maybe instead of just drawing a random cloud like this, I could take the ellipse tool and I could just overlap. I'm holding shift to keep these perfectly circled, but I don't have to. Like I could make some things like that. And look at, I could create a cloud with simple shapes. Now, with the shape tool, when you're merging things together like this, there's some really simple ways to join these. So right now, they're each separate shapes. So I want to tell you about the Pathfinder tool. So Pathfinder will join shapes together to create them and to combine them into one path. So if you go to Window and you go down to Pathfinder. So Window is a great place to find any of these tools. This is what Pathfinder looks like. So what I have to do is I have to select it, like everything in Illustrator, and then look at, there's different options here. So this shape mode will just make it all one shape. So really easily, instead of drawing with that pen tool, this one path, you can just pathfind them all together, merge them all together. I'm going to Control Z and show you a couple of these other options. this cuts away things. Sometimes it has kind of unexpected. Some of them will just say they won't work. Look at that one. So it's kind of fun to play with those. But this is real easy, this first Pathfinder, just to do that. And then look, there's also an align option here, a transform option here too. So every panel has more panels, more layers. We talked about color. This color swatch there's also color guides. It shows the tints and shades of the color you choose. There's a palette here for you to just choose anything. And you can change that around. Okay. So you can keep this very simple. You don't have to have highlights or shadows or things like that. The other thing is, so we did Pathfinder with shape, is that pencil tool. You could draw your things with pencil. So I could draw a cloud like this. And one thing we watched the other day is pencil tool can be a little bit wobbly. If you double click on the pencil tool, remember you can change the fidelity. With any of these tools, if you double click on them, there's different settings for them. So if I drag this all the way here, it'll make my lines much smoother when I draw. See how wobbly those are? If I go back to where I began, it's going to close the path. It gives you that little circle, just like with the pen tool. But look at it, smoothed out my lines. From there, I can still use that pencil smoother. I can still go to my white direct selection tool and adjust things this way. And then remember, there's also in this pen tool, this anchor point tool, that you can go back and make adjustments here as well and add curves if you need to and things like that. Right now, I don't have a fill or an outline on this. So if I want to see it better, I could just turn that on temporarily. I could go and fill it, click on this, turn it off, the stroke. And then don't forget as well, you can use the line tool. If you hold shift with the line tool, it'll just make your line go like straight up and down vertically or straight horizontally. Or you can also do like 45-degree segments. That's the same thing with the pencil tool as well. If you're drawing a line, if you hold down shift, it will make it perfectly straight. So you'll see that straight line that appears. Sorry, it'll also give you 45-degree angles of lines as well. So really easy way if you need to just add a quick line. And remember, this has no stroke on right now. So if you go to your direct selection tool, like it will put a bounding box around it, but it's not going to show up unless you select it. See, this was from before I hadn't put a stroke on it or a color in it. So now I could go here or here and add an outline or a fill or something like that. If you have a color you chose and you really, really like it, you can use your eyedropper tool. If I select this cloud and I want it to be the same color as one of these clouds, this little eyedropper tool or eye on your keyboard will allow you to sample colors. You can also, in your swatches, when you sample a color, it puts it here in your swatch and you can click and drag it into your palette of colors here as well. So the eyedropper tool is a really great way to kind of save colors that you created. So maybe you chose a color from here or chose a color from here randomly and you don't know exactly what color it is. You can drag it into your swatches and save it. So sometimes it's a little finicky. So look, I have to look for that little plus sign. Okay, so let's go back to my layers. And I have all these drawings on one layer. I'm going to go through and just drag over these. I don't want those. And actually, I'm going to make these all white. So I just dragged over the whole thing. Oh, there's a random line here that's highlighted. Just clean that up. It's invisible, but still. I'm going to make these all white. So it says question mark here because it doesn't know what color I'm choosing. I'm choosing several different colors. So I'm just going to make this white. You can't see them yet. They're on top of these other layers. I'm going to turn my other layers on. And let's Control 0 and get back to the middle. And then let's play. They're all selected, so they're moving around now. But maybe this could be kind of cool to play with the opacity. I could play with the size of these. I could copy and paste by holding Alt, or I can Control C, Control V. I'm going to shrink this one down, flip it so it doesn't look exactly the same as the other one. And then what if you played with the opacity of these as well? Just a little bit. Just turn it down. Now it looks like these are floating. I don't like that one. Okay,